The laugh heard across the stars. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber was a sight to behold. 100 different species, each with their unique forms, colors, and languages, filled the vast hall. The Council was the heart of galactic governance, where alliances were made and decisions that shaped the stars were taken. Today, the chamber buzzed with excitement, for the Council was introducing its newest defense initiative, a coalition fleet to protect against an unknown but growing cosmic threat. Ambassador Rannoch of the Dravens, a towering figure with crimson scales and piercing golden eyes, stepped forward. His voice boomed, amplified by the chamber's acoustics. The galaxy stands on the brink of danger. We must unite to safeguard our future. Let every member world bring forth their fleets for inspection and competition. The strongest will lead us. The announcement was met with nods of agreement and murmurs of approval. Delegates began discussing the strength of their fleets, boasting about advanced technology, unmatched firepower, and centuries of battle experience. Amid this, a small, unassuming figure stepped forward. It was the human ambassador, a middle-aged man named Elias Carter. He stood in stark contrast to the imposing alien delegates. Dressed in a simple suit, his calm demeanor seemed out of place among the grandeur. "Earth will participate," Carter announced, his voice steady yet firm. For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter erupted across the chamber. Delegates from every corner of the galaxy joined in, their voices mixing into a cacophony of mockery. Even the usually stoic Draven smirked. "Earth, participate," scoffed Valtrek, a delegate from the Xanthar Union. His insectoid mandibles clicked as he sneered. "Your kind barely discovered faster than light travel. What could you possibly offer?" A delegate from the Glarn Consortium, a species resembling gelatinous orbs, wobbled as they laughed. "Perhaps they'll bring slingshots and rocks." The laughter grew louder. Carter, however, didn't flinch. He simply adjusted his tie, a small smile playing on his lips. "We understand your skepticism," he said calmly. "But I assure you, humanity is ready." The laughter subsided, replaced by curious murmurs. Carter's unwavering confidence was unsettling. The Council had long dismissed Earth as a backwater planet, barely capable of keeping up with galactic advancements. Yet here was their representative, boldly declaring their intent to compete. Ambassador Rannoch leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowing. "Ambassador Carter, do you understand the gravity of this initiative? Only the strongest fleets will lead. Weakness will not be tolerated." Carter nodded. "We understand, and we are prepared to prove ourselves." Rannoch studied the human for a moment before nodding. "Very well. Let Earth's fleet be judged alongside the others. But know this, failure will bring shame upon your world." As Carter stepped back, the murmurs in the chamber continued. Most delegates dismissed Earth's announcement as a foolish attempt at gaining attention. A few, however, couldn't ignore the ambassador's confidence. What did humanity know that the rest of the galaxy didn't? Later, as Carter walked through the halls of the Council building, he was approached by Lieutenant Commander Nadia Patel, a fellow human and the military liaison to the Council. She had watched the proceedings from a distance, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "Do you think it was wise to declare our participation?" she asked quietly. Carter glanced at her, his calm demeanor unwavering. "Humanity has always thrived under pressure. Let them laugh. They'll stop soon enough." Patel frowned. "The other species have fleets with centuries of experience. We're new to this. What if we fail?" Carter paused, his gaze turning thoughtful. "Do you know why they laugh, Commander? It's because they don't understand us. They see Earth as small and insignificant. They don't see our ingenuity, our determination, or our ability to adapt. That's our advantage." Patel nodded slowly. She wasn't entirely convinced, but there was something about Carter's confidence that was hard to ignore. "I hope you're right," she said. "I am," Carter replied simply. "And soon, they will too." The announcement of Earth's participation spread quickly across the galaxy. News networks, social media hubs, and interstellar broadcasts buzzed with the story. Most took it as a joke, creating memes and satirical commentaries about Earth's fleet. Some even speculated that humanity's involvement was a desperate attempt to gain relevance in galactic politics. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's orbital shipyards, humanity's fleet was taking shape. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, their faces etched with determination. The ships were unlike anything the galaxy had seen, crafted from Earth's unique materials, designed with unorthodox strategies, and equipped with technology that remained a closely guarded secret. Among them was the flagship, Resolute, a sleek vessel brimming with experimental tech. As its hull gleamed under the artificial lights of the shipyard, one thing became clear. Humanity wasn't just participating. They were preparing to surprise the galaxy. And so, as the Galactic Council continued to laugh, Earth quietly worked. The stage was set. The competition would soon begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy that underestimating them was the gravest mistake of all. A fleet unlike any other. The Galactic Council's observation deck buzzed with activity as fleets from across the galaxy assembled in the vast void of space. Delegates and military leaders watched with a mix of awe and pride as their ships, representing the pinnacle of their civilizations, arrived. Hulking dreadnoughts bristling with weaponry, sleek interceptors moving like streaks of light, and cruisers packed with advanced shielding systems dominated the expanse. Then, Earth's fleet emerged. The ships exited warp one by one, their dark, angular designs starkly contrasting with the sleek curves and vibrant colors of the other fleets. Unlike the shimmering metal of other vessels, Earth's ships appeared almost organic, constructed from a matte black alloy that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in absolute silence, their thrusters emitting no visible energy signatures. The room went quiet as Earth's fleet took its place among the others. For a moment, the silence lingered, thick with disbelief. Then came the laughter. "That's it," sneered Ambassador Valtric of the Sinfar Union, his compound eyes glinting with amusement. "I've seen cargo freighters with more presence." "Are they made of rock?" A delegate from the Geleth collective chortled, their gelatinous form quivering with mirth. "Do humans think stealth is achieved by being ugly?" Even Rannoch, the Draven ambassador, smirked. "Ambassador Carter," he said, his voice heavy with condescension, "these ships of yours, are they prototypes? Surely this isn't your final fleet." Elias Carter, standing at the observation deck's edge, showed no reaction to the insults. Instead, he folded his hands behind his back and gazed at the display, where Earth's fleet floated like silent predators in the void. "This is humanity's fleet," Carter said calmly. "It may not look like much to you, but I assure you, it's enough." The delegates exchanged skeptical glances, their doubt evident, but beneath their mocking smiles, a few couldn't shake a growing unease. Something about those ships, how they moved, how they seemed to blend into the darkness, was unsettling. Deep within the flagship Resolute, Captain Hannah Wells stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic display before her. The fleet's positioning was perfect, each ship aligned in what appeared to be random formations, but was, in fact, a carefully calculated strategy. "Status report," she ordered. "Fleet is operational," replied Lieutenant Marcus Green, her second in command. "Stealth systems fully engaged. Power output is stable. No detectable emissions." Wells nodded. "Good. Let them underestimate us." The bridge was a hub of quiet efficiency, its crew focused on their tasks. Unlike the bustling chaos of other species' warships, the Resolute operated with precision. Every system was designed to minimize noise and energy signatures, making the fleet almost invisible to standard scans. In the corner of the room, Dr. Elena Vega, the chief engineer, observed the proceedings. She was one of the masterminds behind Earth's unconventional designs. "They're laughing at us," Vega remarked, her tone neutral but her eyes sharp. Wells smirked. "Let them. That's the plan." Vega crossed her arms, The Council thinks strength is about size and firepower. They have no idea what's coming. Back on the observation deck, the Galactic Council prepared for the first test, a simulated battle. Each fleet would face an array of automated drones designed to mimic real combat scenarios. The results would determine each fleet's ranking and their role in the upcoming coalition. The first fleets entered the simulation area. Massive alien warships unleashed torrents of firepower, their displays filled with explosions and dazzling energy bursts. The galactic observers nodded approvingly, their biases confirmed. Strength meant overwhelming force. Then it was Earth's turn. The simulation drones materialized, a swarm of fast-moving enemies designed to overwhelm a fleet with their numbers. As the drones closed in, Earth's fleet didn't fire. Instead, it moved, swiftly, unpredictably, and with eerie coordination. "What are they doing?" Valtryek muttered, leaning forward. The drones converged, but Earth's ships continued to weave through them, their movements impossibly precise. The Resolute led the charge, its sleek form slicing through the swarm. Suddenly, the flagship unleashed a burst of energy. Not a weapon, but a pulse that scrambled the drone's targeting systems. "They're disabling the drones," an alien commander exclaimed in disbelief. Before the Council could process what was happening, Earth's fleet launched its first offensive. Instead of traditional weapons, the ships used adaptive nanotech projectiles that dismantled the drones on a molecular level. Within minutes, the simulation ended. The battlefield was silent. Earth's fleet had emerged unscathed. The Council chamber was in shock. For the first time, there were no jeers or laughter. Delegates exchanged uneasy glances, their earlier confidence shaken. Even Rannick's golden eyes were narrowed, his tail flicking behind him, a sign of unease among the Dravens. Carter turned to the gathered delegates, his face calm but his eyes sharp. "Humanity's strength doesn't lie in size or firepower. It lies in our ability to think differently, to adapt. We don't play by your rules. We'd make our own." For the first time, the Galactic Council began to understand that Earth wasn't just participating. They were playing to win. The first test. The galactic simulation zone stretched endlessly, an expanse of stars and artificial battlefields designed to push fleets to their limits. Each participating species had already showcased their strengths, from the brute force of the Draven dreadnoughts to the elegant precision of the Synthar interceptors. All eyes now turned to Earth's fleet, a shadowy formation hanging ominously in the void. The simulation director's voice echoed through the Galactic Council's observation deck. "Earth's fleet will now engage in the next test, a survival scenario against advanced combat drones. The drones are programmed to adapt and escalate their attacks. Let us observe." Inside the flagship Resolute, Captain Hannah Wells observed the holographic simulation zone. It glowed faintly, a projection of the challenge to come. Her crew worked silently, their faces calm but focused. Unlike the chaotic chatter of other species ships, the Resolute felt more like a finely tuned orchestra, every crew member perfectly in sync. "Enemy drones inbound," reported Lieutenant Marcus Green. His voice was steady, though the numbers were staggering. 2,000 units, high-speed attack formation. "Let them come," Wells replied, her tone confident. She glanced at Dr. Elena Vega, who stood near the engineering console. "Is the adaptive AI ready?" Vega nodded. "Ready and waiting. If they think we're predictable, they're in for a surprise." The bridge crew exchanged subtle smiles. They knew the Galactic Council thought humanity's ships were crude and underwhelming. What no one realized was that Earth's fleet wasn't built for brute force. It was built to outthink, outmaneuver, and outblast. The simulation began. The drones swarmed toward Earth's fleet in a coordinated attack, their formation tight and overwhelming. Most fleets would have met them head-on, unleashing a barrage of weaponry to thin their numbers. But Earth's ships didn't fire a single shot. Instead, they scattered. "What are they doing?" muttered an alien observer in the council chamber, leaning closer to the display. Earth's fleet moved like a school of fish, each ship darting in unpredictable patterns. The drones pursued, their algorithms struggling to track the erratic movements. The Galactic Council had never seen such tactics before. Every other fleet relied on brute strength, but humanity's fleet thrived on chaos. Phase 1 complete, Green announced. The drones are recalibrating. They're adjusting their targeting systems. Good, Wells said. Let them adapt. It'll only make Phase 2 more effective. Deploy the decoys. Tiny pods launched from Earth's ships, each emitting false energy signatures identical to the ships themselves. The drones hesitated, their targeting systems overwhelmed by a sudden explosion of potential threats. In the confusion, Earth's ships reassembled into a formation so tight and precise that even the best galactic fleets would have struggled to match it. They're not fighting, an alien commander whispered, his voice tinged with disbelief. They're outsmarting the simulation. The drones, now agitated and recalibrating faster, shifted into an attack swarm. Energy blasts filled the void, but Earth's fleet continued to evade with unnatural precision. The Resolute led the charge, slicing through the chaos like a predator stalking prey. On the bridge of the Resolute, Vega monitored the fleet's adaptive AI. The drones are escalating, she said. Their firepower is increasing exponentially. We're entering their highest threat level. Perfect, Wells replied, her calm demeanor unshaken. Activate the Speak-to-Tier protocol. Speak-to-Tier was one of Earth's most closely guarded secrets, a revolutionary stealth system that didn't just hide ships, but rendered them intangible for brief moments. As the drones closed in for a devastating final assault, Earth's fleet disappeared. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in confusion. Where did they go? Demanded Valtryek, his mandibles clicking in agitation. The drones, now firing wildly into empty space, began colliding with one another in their desperation to find targets. Then, out of nowhere, Earth's fleet reappeared, right in the heart of the drone swarm. Engage, Wells commanded. The fleet unleashed its full arsenal, but it wasn't the traditional display of lasers and missiles the Council expected. Instead, Earth's ships deployed weapons that disrupted the drones at a molecular level. The drones disintegrated into harmless particles, their systems unable to adapt to the onslaught. Within minutes, the battlefield was clear. In the observation deck, the silence was deafening. The Galactic Council, so accustomed to spectacular displays of power, didn't know what to make of what they'd just witnessed. Earth's fleet hadn't just survived, they had dismantled the simulation with elegance and efficiency. Rannoch broke the silence, his golden eyes fixed on Ambassador Carter. What is the meaning of this? He demanded. This isn't war. This is trickery. Carter's smile was faint but unmistakable. War isn't about who has the biggest gun, he said. It's about who can outthink their enemy. Humanity doesn't fight fair. We fight smart. The chamber buzzed with murmurs. For the first time, the Galactic Council wasn't laughing. They were questioning, wondering, fearing. Earth's fleet wasn't what they expected. And that, as Carter had planned all along, was the point. The secret weapon. The Galactic Council's viewing chamber was unusually quiet. The spectacle of Earth's performance in the simulation had left even the loudest skeptics at a loss for words. No one had expected the so-called backwater planet to survive, let alone outmaneuver the simulation so effortlessly. But for all their whispered doubts, one thing was clear. Humanity was hiding something. Deep within the Resolute, Captain Hannah Wells paced the bridge. The simulation victory was behind them, but she knew what came next. The fleet's technology demonstration. This was the stage where each species flaunted its most advanced weapons and systems. For Earth, it was a chance to reveal, or conceal, what they had been working on. Dr. Vega, Wells said, turning to the chief engineer. Is it ready? Vega grinned, a gleam of excitement in her eyes. It's been ready. Question is, are they? The viewing chamber dimmed as holograms of the fleet's demonstrations played in sequence. The Dravens showcased their planet-busting plasma cannons, each shot capable of incinerating a small moon. The Xanthar Union demonstrated their hyperspace disruptors, disabling enemy fleets before they could even engage. One by one, the galactic superpowers flexed their technological might. Each display met with awe and applause. Then it was Earth's turn. The holographic feed shifted to the simulation field. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Earth's fleet moved into position, its ships as silent and dark as ever. The council members leaned forward, eager to see what tricks humanity had up their sleeve. The demonstration began with a sudden ripple in space. "What is that?" muttered an alien delegate, their compound eyes narrowing. The ripple expanded, a faint distortion that seemed to warp the very fabric of reality. Earth's flagship, the Resolute, emitted the ripple, its matte black hull shimmering as the effect intensified. The ripple spread outward, enveloping the fleet and the simulated enemy ships stationed for the test. Inside the Resolute, Dr. Vega watched the readouts with satisfaction. "Gravitic pulse stable," she reported. "Field is expanding. Targets are being pulled into the singularity matrix." "Good," Wells replied. "Activate Phase 2. The gravitic ripple shifted, collapsing into a pinpoint singularity, a controlled black hole generated by the flagship. The simulated enemy ships were dragged helplessly into its pull, their energy shields flickering and failing as they were dismantled at the molecular level. Yet Earth's fleet remained unaffected, their ships seemingly immune to the devastating effects of the singularity. The council chamber erupted into chaos. "Are they insane?" shouted Valtryek of the Xanthar Union, his mandibles clicking furiously. "They're playing with forces they can't control." "That's not a weapon," another delegate cried. "That's a catastrophe waiting to happen." Carter remained calm, his hands clasped behind his back. "It's called the gravitic cascade," he said, his voice cutting through the uproar. "A singularity weapon capable of neutralizing entire fleets without traditional explosives or energy weapons." Rannoch's golden eyes burned with suspicion. "And what happens if it fails? If it turns on your own fleet?" "It won't," Carter replied smoothly. "We've mastered the technology." The room was far from convinced. Even the most advanced species had avoided experimenting with black holes, considering them too unpredictable and dangerous. But Earth had not only weaponized one, they had done so with surgical precision. Back in the simulation, the singularity collapsed, leaving behind a field of particles where the simulated enemy ships had once been. Earth's fleet moved through the aftermath unscathed, their engines barely leaving a trace of energy behind. "Demonstration complete," Wells announced. Her voice was calm, but her crew shared a knowing look. They had just revealed a fraction of their true capabilities, but it was enough to send shockwaves through the council. The aftermath of the demonstration rippled through the council chamber. Some delegates demanded Earth's immediate disqualification, citing the dangers of their technology. Others argued that humanity's innovation was exactly what the coalition needed to face the growing cosmic threat. Rannoch leaned toward Carter, his voice low and dangerous. "Tell me, Ambassador, how did your kind develop such a weapon? Even the Dravens haven't dared to manipulate singularities." Carter smiled faintly. "Desperation. Ambassador, when you're at the bottom, you have to climb in ways others won't. Humanity has always thrived under pressure. Or destroyed itself," Rannoch countered. "True," Carter said. "But this time, we climbed higher." As the session adjourned, Carter left the chamber with the same calm demeanor he always carried. But as he passed by Nadia Patel, the military liaison who had been watching from the sidelines, she couldn't hide her concern. "Are you sure revealing the gravitic cascade was the right move?" she asked quietly. Carter paused, his expression thoughtful. "They needed to see it. Fear can be a powerful motivator. They underestimated us before. Now, they'll hesitate. And if they decide we're too dangerous to keep around." Carter's smile didn't waver. Then we'll show them why they should be more afraid of losing us." The galactic leaders returned to their fleets, their minds racing with new fears and suspicions. Earth's technology wasn't just advanced, it was dangerous, unpredictable, and entirely unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And for the first time, the Galactic Council wasn't sure if Earth was their greatest ally or their gravest threat. When the galaxy stood still, the Galactic Council's fleet was on full alert. Ships from every corner of the galaxy floated in a vast defensive formation near the edge of Coalition space. The warning signals had been clear. A massive, unidentified armada was approaching, unlike anything recorded in galactic history. In the heart of the formation, Earth's fleet hung in eerie silence. Their matte-black ships seemed to absorb the starlight, a stark contrast to the glowing hulls and shimmering shields of the other fleets. Delegates whispered nervously, eyes flickering between the incoming threat and the humans who had already proven they didn't play by the rules. "Enemy fleet will enter sensor range in 30 seconds, Lieutenant Marcus Green reported on the Resolute's bridge. The crew's tension was palpable, but Captain Hannah Wells remained calm, her sharp eyes fixed on the holographic display. "How many?" Wells asked. "Initial count. Over 10,000 ships," Green replied. His voice faltered. "And they're not just drones. These ships are crewed, heavily armed. And," he paused, glancing at the data stream, "their power output is beyond anything we've encountered." The room was silent. Dr. Elena Vega broke it with a grim chuckle. "Well, that's comforting." Wells smirked faintly. "We've faced impossible odds before. We'll do it again. Ready the fleet. Maintain silent running. Let's see what our new friends are capable of." The first wave of the enemy fleet entered visual range, and even the most battle-hardened commanders in the Coalition felt a chill. The ships were massive, jagged, and pulsating with an ominous red glow. They moved with mechanical precision, their hulls seemingly alive with energy. "What are they?" whispered Rannoch, his golden eyes narrowing as he studied the display in the Council's observation chamber. "Biomechanical hybrids," Carter answered, his tone flat. "Artificial intelligence fused with organic life. A war machine designed to adapt and evolve." "And how do you know that?" Valtryk of the Xinthar Union hissed, his mandibles clicking in suspicion. Carter didn't flinch. "Because we've seen them before. On the edges of our system. We've been preparing for them for years." The room went silent. For the first time, the Galactic Council realized that humanity's rise wasn't just about ambition. It was about survival. The enemy fleet didn't waste time. Without warning, they opened fire. Massive energy beams sliced through space, obliterating smaller Coalition ships in seconds. The formation broke as panicked commanders scrambled to reposition. Earth's fleet didn't move. "They're sitting ducks," a Glarn delegate exclaimed. "Why aren't they engaging?" Carter smiled faintly. "Wait." On the Resolute's bridge, Wells waited for her moment. The enemy's firepower was overwhelming, but it was unfocused, relying on sheer numbers to overwhelm their targets. That would be their first mistake. "Activate Spectre cloaks," Wells ordered. In an instant, Earth's fleet disappeared. The enemy ships hesitated, their targeting systems scrambling to lock onto the invisible threat. The Coalition fleets, witnessing this for the first time, could only watch in stunned silence. "Deploy the hunters," Wells said. From the darkness, Earth's fleet struck. Small, fast attack ships, hidden by the Spectre cloak, weaved through the enemy formation. They deployed precision strikes, disabling engines and cutting off communication nodes. Unlike the Coalition's brute force approach, Earth's tactics were surgical, dismantling the enemy's strength piece by piece. The Council chamber erupted in a mix of cheers and disbelief. "They're cutting them apart," Rannoch exclaimed, his usual stoic demeanor replaced by astonishment. "How are they doing this?" Carter allowed himself a small smile. "Adaptation. Humans don't fight fair. We fight to win." But the enemy wasn't finished. As their ships fell, they began to change. Damaged vessels morphed, fusing together to create massive, monstrous warforms. One ship, the size of a small moon, emerged from the wreckage, its surface bristling with weapons. "We've got a problem," Green said on the Resolute's bridge. "That thing's targeting the Coalition flagship." "Not on my watch," Wells replied. "Redirect all power to the Cascade drive." Vega spun in her chair. "You're not seriously planning to use it here. We're too close to the Coalition fleet." "We don't have a choice," Wells said. "If that thing fires, we lose the Coalition, and the galaxy falls. We'll manage the fallout later. Engage the Cascade." The Resolute moved into position, its hull glowing faintly as the gravitic cascade activated. A singularity began to form, pulling the warform's energy into a collapsing gravitational well. The monstrous ship resisted, firing relentlessly at Earth's flagship, but the Resolute held firm. The singularity grew, swallowing the warform piece by piece until nothing remained. But the strain on the Resolute was immense. Its shields flickered, its engines groaned, and the entire ship shuddered under the force of the weapon. "Captain, we can't sustain this much longer," Green shouted. "Hold," Wells ordered, her voice calm but firm. "Just a few more seconds." Finally, the singularity collapsed, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. The enemy fleet, now leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat. The Coalition fleets, inspired by Earth's daring maneuver, regrouped and pushed the enemy back. The battle was over, but the cost was clear. Dozens of Coalition ships were destroyed, and the Resolute itself was heavily damaged. Yet Earth's fleet had proven something no one could deny. They were more than a match for the galaxy's greatest threats. As the Council reconvened, the room was filled not with mockery but with a tense respect. Rannoch stood, his golden eyes meeting Carter's. "You saved us today, Ambassador. But at what cost? Your technology is as dangerous as the enemies we face." Carter's gaze was steady. "Perhaps, but sometimes the only way to defeat a monster is to become something they fear." The room fell silent. For the first time, the galaxy truly understood what humanity was capable of, and why they should never be underestimated again. Betrayal and sacrifice. The aftermath of the battle left the Galactic Council's fleet battered but victorious. Earth's daring tactics and their terrifying gravitic cascade had turned the tide, earning them grudging respect from even their harshest critics. Yet, in the cold vacuum of space, alliances forged in battle could dissolve just as quickly. Inside the flagship Resolute, repairs were underway. Sparks flew as engineers worked tirelessly to stabilize the ship's damaged systems. Captain Hannah Wells stood at the command console, her focus sharp as she coordinated with the fleet. "Status?" she asked. "Shields are at 40%, engines at 60%, reported Lieutenant Marcus Green. "We've managed to restore comms with the Coalition fleet. No major hostilities detected. Yet." Wells raised an eyebrow. "Yet?" Green hesitated. "There's chatter among some of the fleets. They're uneasy about us." Wells smirked grimly. "Uneasy is a step up from outright mockery." Dr. Elena Vega approached, her face serious. "Uneasy fleets are dangerous fleets, Captain. They've seen what we can do. And fear makes people stupid." Wells nodded. "Noted. Let's make sure we're ready for anything." Meanwhile, in the Council chamber aboard the Coalition flagship, tensions simmered beneath the surface. The delegates argued furiously, their voices clashing as they debated Earth's role in the Coalition. "This is unacceptable," snapped Valtryek of the Synthar Union. "They wield weapons that could destroy us all. How can we trust them?" Rannoch, his golden eyes narrowed, replied, "Trust them? No, but we need them. Without Earth's fleet, we wouldn't be here." Another delegate, a pale-skinned being from the Zalak Dominion, leaned forward. "And when this war is over, what happens when humanity decides they don't need us anymore?" Ambassador Elias Carter remained silent, his expression unreadable. He watched as the factions within the council fractured further, the unity forged in battle threatening to crumble. In the shadows of the coalition fleet, betrayal took root. A faction of ships from the Xinthar Union and the Zalak Dominion began to conspire. Fearful of Earth's growing influence, they saw an opportunity to eliminate the humans while their fleet was weakened. "This is our chance," hissed a Xinthar commander over a secure channel. "Their flagship is damaged. If we strike now, we can end the threat they pose." "And when the Council questions our actions?" asked a Zalak admiral. "We'll tell them the truth," the Xinthar commander replied. "Earth's fleet was a danger to the coalition. We acted to protect it." The betrayal came without warning. As the coalition fleet regrouped near a distant star system, Earth's ships suddenly found themselves surrounded. The Xinthar and Zalak ships opened fire, their weapons lighting up the void. "Captain, we're under attack from Allied ships," Green shouted on the Resolute's bridge. Wells's eyes narrowed. "Raise shields. Evasive maneuvers. Do not return fire." The bridge erupted in confusion. "Captain, they're targeting us," Vega protested. "We have to defend ourselves." "Not yet," Wells said firmly. "If we fire on them, the rest of the coalition will turn against us. Hold the line." The betrayal spread chaos through the coalition. Ships scrambled to decipher what was happening, but the Xinthar and Zalak forces framed Earth as the aggressor, claiming humanity had turned on the coalition. The council chamber exploded in arguments, accusations flying in every direction. Carter stood, his voice cutting through the noise. "Enough. The Xinthar and Zalak are lying. This is an unprovoked attack on Earth's fleet." Valtryek sneered. "Prove it." Carter's calm facade cracked, a hint of steel in his voice. "I don't need to prove anything. Watch and see." On the battlefield, Earth's fleet was outnumbered, its ships weaving desperately to avoid the relentless assault. Despite their advanced tactics and cloaking technology, the damage was mounting. "Captain, we're taking heavy fire," Green shouted. "We can't hold out much longer." Wells clenched her fists. Her crew's faces were grim, their determination unwavering despite the odds. She glanced at Vega. "Activate the cascade." Vega's eyes widened. "Hannah, if we use it now, we'll take out half our fleet along with theirs." "It's too close." Wells's voice softened. "I know. But if we don't, they'll destroy us all." "Do it." The Resolute powered up the gravitic cascade, its hull glowing ominously as the singularity began to form. The Xinthar and Zalak ships faltered, their commanders hesitating as the terrifying weapon came online. But before the singularity could fully deploy, a battered coalition cruiser surged forward, placing itself between the Resolute and the enemy fleet. It was a Draven ship, its captain's voice booming over the comms. "This treachery ends now," Rannoch declared. "The coalition stands with Earth." Inspired by Rannoch's bold move, other coalition ships rallied, turning their weapons on the betrayers. The tide shifted, the Xinthar and Zalak forces overwhelmed by the united front. The battle ended swiftly, the betrayer ships either destroyed or forced to retreat. The Resolute, heavily damaged but still intact, powered down the gravitic cascade. On the bridge, Wells exhaled, her shoulders sagging with relief. "Message from the coalition flagship," Green reported. "Ambassador Carter wants us to stand down and prepare for talks." Wells nodded. "Let's hope he can salvage what's left of this alliance." In the council chamber, the mood was grim. The betrayal had shattered what little trust remained, and the coalition teetered on the edge of collapse. But Carter, standing tall despite the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, spoke with unwavering conviction. "Humanity didn't come here to dominate or destroy," he said. "We came to survive, to fight for a galaxy worth saving. If you can't see that, then perhaps we were wrong to believe in this alliance." The room was silent. One by one, the delegates began to nod, their expressions a mix of shame and resolve. Rannoch stepped forward, his golden eyes meeting Carter's. "You saved us again," Rannoch said. "Perhaps it's time we learned to trust you." They finally understand. The Galactic Council chamber was a sea of tension. Delegates from every species sat in silence, their expressions grim. The betrayal by the Xinthar and Zulak had sent shockwaves through the Alliance, and trust hung by a thread. Earth's fleet had survived the ambush, but the cost was high. Their flagship, the Resolute, was barely operational, and the coalition itself stood fractured. At the center of the chamber, Ambassador Elias Carter stood alone. The human had no grand armor or otherworldly features, just a calm demeanor and piercing eyes that surveyed the room. "Today, we survived not just an enemy attack," Carter began, his voice carrying through the hall. "We survived ourselves." The battle's aftermath still lingered in everyone's minds. The betrayal had exposed the cracks in the coalition, but it was Earth's fleet that had held the line, sacrificing much to protect those who had once mocked them. Captain Hannah Wells sat in the observation room aboard the crippled Resolute. The repairs were slow, the ship still bearing scars from the recent battle. Lieutenant Marcus Green approached, holding a datapad. "Captain, incoming transmission from the coalition flagship," he said. Wells didn't look up. "Let me guess. They want us to play nice and not mention the attempted backstabbing." "Not quite," Green replied, his tone lighter. "They're asking for you to join Carter in the chamber. Apparently, some delegates want to formally acknowledge our role." Wells smirked. "Acknowledgement, huh? About time." As Carter continued his speech in the council chamber, the doors opened, and Captain Wells entered. The murmurs of the delegates filled the room as the battered but unbroken human captain took her place beside Carter. Her presence was a symbol of Earth's resilience, her every step a reminder of what humanity had endured. "They laughed at us," Carter continued, his tone growing sharper. "When we announced our fleet, they mocked us. When we revealed our technology, they feared us. And when we fought to protect this coalition, they betrayed us." Several delegates shifted uncomfortably, their guilt evident. "But we didn't give up," Carter said, his voice steady. "Because humanity doesn't fight for glory or conquest. We fight for survival. And when we fight for everyone. Even those who doubt us. Even those who would harm us." In the aftermath of the speech, the council broke into private discussions. Meanwhile, Rannoch of the Draven stepped forward, his golden eyes fixed on Wells. "You could have turned the cascade on all of us," Rannoch said bluntly. "No one would have stopped you." Wells met his gaze evenly. "We're not here to destroy. We're here to protect, even if it means protecting you from yourselves." Rannoch's tail flicked in thought before he extended a scaled hand. "Perhaps it's time we learned from you, Captain." Wells hesitated for a moment, then clasped his hand firmly. The image of a Draven and a human shaking hands was broadcast across the galaxy, a moment that would become a symbol of unity. Later, on the coalition flagship, a secret meeting was held. Carter, Wells, and a few trusted coalition leaders gathered to discuss the true enemy, the biomechanical hybrids that had threatened them. "They're not done," Wells said, her voice resolute. "That Armada was just a scouting force. The real threat is still out there." Carter nodded. "And we won't survive the next wave if we're fighting each other. This coalition has to hold." Rannoch spoke up. "You've proven humanity's worth. But can the rest of the coalition truly trust each other after this?" "We'll have to," Carter said. "Because if we don't, there won't be a galaxy left to argue over." The council reconvened the next day, and the decision was unanimous. Earth would lead the coalition fleet. Humanity's adaptability, courage, and innovation had earned them a place at the forefront of the fight. As the delegates voted, Carter's calm mask slipped for just a moment, replaced by a flicker of relief. Humanity had come a long way, from being dismissed as a primitive race to becoming the galaxy's last hope. As the coalition fleets prepared for the next battle, the humans worked tirelessly to rebuild the Resolute and prepare their fleet for what was to come. In the final moments of the chapter, Captain Wells addressed her crew. "They doubted us. They feared us, and now they've chosen us to lead, she said. Not because we're the strongest or the oldest, but because we're something they never expected. Survivors. The crew cheered, their spirits unbroken despite the challenges ahead. From the depths of the galaxy, the enemy stirred once more. But this time, they would face not just Earth, but a united coalition led by a species that had proven one undeniable truth. Never underestimate humanity.